Liam lived in a small, quiet town far from the big cities. He worked as a mechanic, fixing everything from old tractors to broken motorbikes. His workshop sat at the edge of town, where the dirt road met the rolling green hills. Most nights he worked late. It wasn't because he had too many customers. It was because he enjoyed the peace of being alone with the smell of oil and the sound of tools clicking. That night was no different. A heavy tractor stood in the middle of his shop, its engine taken apart like a puzzle. Liam was leaning over it with a wrench in his hand, tightening a stubborn bolt. The clock on the wall showed it was almost midnight. Outside, the night was still and quiet, just the way Liam liked it. But then, it happened. A strange flash of light lit up the walls of the workshop, followed by a low, rumbling sound that made the windows tremble. Liam looked up, frowning. It wasn't lightning. The light had been sharp, almost like a burning streak across the sky. He dropped his wrench and stepped outside. The night sky above the hills was glowing in a way he had never seen before. A ball of bright, white-blue light was moving fast, leaving a glowing trail behind it. Then, in the distance, it curved sharply, downward, too sharp for any airplane, and vanished behind the dark shape of the hills. A second later, there was a faint thud, like something heavy hitting the earth. Liam's heart pounded. His first thought was that it must have been a meteor, but meteors didn't change direction like that. And besides, he had never seen one land so close. Without thinking much about it, he grabbed his jacket, locked the workshop, and got into his old pickup truck. The headlights cut through the dark road as he drove toward the hills. His mind was racing. Could it have been a secret, military test, or maybe some kind of rare natural event? Part of him even wondered if it was dangerous, but his curiosity was stronger than his caution. The road soon turned into a dirt path, and Liam slowed down. The faint smell of something burned reached his nose. He drove until the path ended, then turned off the engine. The night was quiet again, but now there was a strange, low humming sound in the distance. Liam grabbed a flashlight from the glove box and started walking. His boots crunched on the dry grass as he made his way toward the sound. The hills looked peaceful under the moonlight, but the smell of burnt metal grew stronger with every step. When he reached the top of a slope, he froze. Down in a small clearing, half hidden by tall grass, was something that made his breath catch. It was a smooth silver object, shaped almost like a teardrop, lying tilted on its side. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface, and a thin mist rose from vents near its base. The air around it seemed warmer, and that low hum he'd heard earlier was coming from it. Liam's first thought was, "This is no meteor." As he stepped closer, he noticed the surface of the craft had no bolts, no seams, nothing like the machines he worked on every day. It looked like it had been made from a single piece of metal. Suddenly, the surface shifted. Part of it slid open without a sound. A soft light spilled out, bathing the grass in a pale glow. Liam took a step back, his heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. Then, two figures stepped out. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. They were both young women, tall and slender, moving with an almost weightless grace. Their skin had a faint silver-blue shimmer, as if the moonlight itself had been woven into them. Their hair was long, flowing, and seemed to reflect light in a way that wasn't natural. But their eyes, those eyes were unlike anything Liam had ever seen. They glowed softly, not like a flashlight or a screen, but like warm lanterns in the dark. The glow shifted slightly with their emotions, and right now, their expressions were a mixture of worry and hope. They looked at him, then at each other, as if deciding whether to speak. Finally, one of them took a small step forward. Her voice was soft, almost musical, but the words were broken like someone who had learned only a little English. "Help, please. We need help." The second one nodded quickly, her expression more urgent. Liam stood frozen for a moment. He had fixed tractors, motorcycles, and even the occasional broken-down bus. But a glowing silver craft in the hills, and two identical strangers who looked like they had stepped out of a dream, that was something no mechanic's handbook had prepared him for. He swallowed hard and finally managed to speak. "What happened? Are you hurt?" The first one shook her head, slowly. "Not hurt. Ship broken." She pointed toward the craft. "We cannot fix." Her voice carried both frustration and desperation. Liam didn't understand how he could possibly help, but the way they looked at him, hopeful, almost pleading, made him feel that walking away was not an option. He glanced at the strange craft again, then back at the twins. "All right," he said slowly. "Show me." They exchanged a quick look, then led him toward the ship. As Liam followed, he had the strange feeling that this night was the start of something far bigger than himself, something that would change his life forever. Liam followed the twins toward the strange silver craft, his boots sinking slightly in the soft grass. Up close, the ship looked even more unreal. Its surface shimmered faintly, as if it was alive, and the symbols on its side pulsed slowly with light. The taller of the two twins, who had spoken earlier, motioned for him to follow her inside. The other one walked beside him, her eyes scanning the sky as if she was watching for something. When Liam stepped through the opening, he stopped, in surprise. The inside of the ship was nothing like the metal cabins of airplanes he had seen in pictures. The walls seemed to curve smoothly into the floor and ceiling, like one solid piece. A soft, blue-white light filled the space, coming from no visible lamps. The air inside felt warmer, and there was a faint scent, something like a mix of fresh rain and flowers. In the center of the room stood a control console made of the same smooth material. Strange shapes and lights floated just above its surface, moving slowly as if they were alive. Liam could see wires, or what looked like wires, spilling out from a panel near the back. But they weren't normal wires. They were thin strands of glowing crystal, some broken and flickering. The shorter twin pointed at the damage. "Core link. Broken," she said slowly, struggling with the words. "Ship. Cannot fly." Liam crouched down, inspecting the area. His hands hovered over the strange components, afraid to touch them. "I've never seen anything like this," he muttered. The taller twin tilted her head, studying him. "You fix things," she said simply. "We watched." Liam blinked. "You watched me?" She nodded. "From above." She gestured toward the sky. "Your hands know how to heal machines." Liam gave a nervous chuckle. "Well, I can fix tractors, spaceships. That's new for me." The shorter twin knelt beside him, picking up a small device from the floor. She tapped it, and a soft blue hologram appeared above it, an image of the ship's insides with certain parts highlighted in red. "We tell you. You use your tools." Liam looked at the hologram, then at the broken parts. He realized they were asking him to replace or reconnect the glowing strands, but some of them were completely snapped in half. He had nothing like them in his shop. "I don't have parts like this," he said. "They're not from here." The taller twin exchanged a look with her sister, then held up a small silver case. She opened it to reveal a collection of shimmering fragments, pieces of crystal, thin plates of metal unlike any Liam had seen, and tiny shapes that seemed to hum quietly. "These, all we have," she explained. "But not enough." Liam thought for a moment. "Maybe I can replace some parts with Earth materials. Not perfect, but maybe enough to get you flying." They both nodded eagerly. The taller twin's eyes glowed a little brighter, and she said, "We trust you." That trust hit Liam unexpectedly. These two strangers, these two alien women, were giving him their ship, their only way home, and depending entirely on him. He felt a strange sense of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "All right," he said firmly. "I'll need my tools. We'll have to bring them here, and I'll need to see the connections more closely." The shorter twin hesitated. "Not safe," she said softly. "Others must not see." Liam understood immediately. If anyone from town stumbled upon this, it would cause chaos. He nodded. "We'll do it at night. I'll bring my tools when no one's around." That first night they worked for hours. Liam carefully cleaned the damaged area, replacing some broken connectors with pieces from the silver case. When a part was missing entirely, he used bits of copper wire and steel from his truck's toolbox, adjusting them until they fit. It wasn't easy. The ship's systems seemed alive, reacting to his touch in unpredictable ways. Sometimes, when he connected, two strands, the whole console would flare with light and a hum would fill the air. Other times, nothing happened, and the twins would exchange quiet words in a language he didn't know. But slowly, progress was made. They worked like that for 3 nights. During the day, Liam went about his normal life, fixing farm equipment and smiling politely to customers, but his mind was always on the ship in the hills. At night, he'd load tools into his truck, drive to the edge of the hills, and walk to the clearing under the cover of darkness. The twins proved to be quick learners. Though their English was limited, they understood tools and repairs well. They handed him parts exactly when he needed them, held lights steady while he worked, and even showed him how to handle some of their technology without damaging it. Sometimes they'd talk while he worked. Leora, the taller, calmer one, told him bits about their journey, using simple words. They had been traveling between star systems when their ship's navigation failed during a jump. Naira, the shorter, more energetic one, added quick comments, often making her sister smile. Liam learned their names one evening when he asked, pointing to each of them. "Name?" Leora placed a hand on her chest. "Leora." She then pointed to her sister. "Naira." Naira grinned and pointed at him. "Liam." She repeated it a few times as if testing the sound. By the 3rd night, Liam had replaced most of the damaged connections. The core, which had been flickering weakly when he first saw it, now pulsed with a steady glow. The twins seemed more relaxed, but there was still a shadow of worry in their eyes, like they were racing against time. Once, as they took a short break outside the ship, Liam asked, "Why are you so far from home?" Leora hesitated before answering. "We search for place." She glanced at her sister. "A safe place," Naira added. "Not easy. Many not welcome us." Her voice was quieter than usual. Liam didn't press for details, but he felt a pang of sympathy. They were far from home, stranded on a planet that wasn't theirs, with no one but a small-town mechanic to help them. When they returned inside to continue working, Liam's hands moved faster. He wanted to see their ship whole again. He wanted them to have a chance to leave if they needed to, and yet, a small part of him was already wondering what it would feel like when they were gone. By the 4th night of repairs, the work had taken on a quiet rhythm. Liam would arrive after sunset with his worn toolbox in one hand and a thermos of tea in the other. The twins would already be waiting by the ship, their faintly glowing eyes, visible even before he stepped into the clearing. That night, the air was crisp. A thin layer of mist curled across the grass, and above them, the stars shone brighter than Liam had ever noticed before. They began work as usual, Naira holding a small light steady while Liam adjusted a copper wire he'd fitted the night before, and Leora sorting through the fragments in their silver case to find one that matched the piece he needed. But as the hours passed, they found themselves talking more than working. Naira was the first to ask questions. Her English was still broken, but her curiosity seemed endless. "Why Fix machines? She asked suddenly. Liam smiled faintly. I've always liked knowing how things work. Since I was a kid, I would take apart clocks, radios, anything I could get my hands on. Neera tilted her head, trying to picture it. Break? To understand? He chuckled. Yes, and then I'd put them back together. Usually better than before. Machines make sense to me. People, not always. Neera laughed quietly. Machines? Honest, she said. They tell truth. Or they stop. Leora, who had been quiet, added softly. On our world. We say, a broken core tells no lies. She glanced at Liam as if testing whether he understood the meaning. He nodded. I think I do. Later, when they took a break outside, Liam poured them each a cup of tea from his thermos. Leora accepted hers carefully, studying the steam. She took a sip, then blinked in surprise. Warm, but gentle, she said. Neera sniffed hers first, then drank it in one big gulp. Sweet, she said simply, before asking for more. They sat together on the grass, cups in hand, staring up at the sky. From where they were, the stars seemed endless. Liam pointed out a few constellations he remembered from childhood. Orion, Cassiopeia, the Big Dipper. Leora listened quietly, but Neera interrupted with a grin. Those not their names, she said, gesturing at the stars. We call this... She spoke a word in her language, a flowing sound Liam couldn't repeat. It means silver bird's nest. Leora added, our people name stars after stories, creatures, places. But your names are nice too. The conversation drifted from stars to music when Liam pulled out a small speaker from his truck. He set it down, and soft guitar notes filled the night air. It was an old song his father used to play when fixing cars. Neera's eyes lit up. This is good. She tapped her fingers against her cup, keeping time with the music. Leora closed her eyes, letting the sound wash over her. Feels like home, she whispered, though Liam doubted her home had guitars. As the song played, Liam realized something. For all their differences, their strange language, glowing eyes, and the fact they came from another world, there was something deeply human about sitting together under the stars, sharing music and tea. When they went back inside, the work felt lighter. The twins would hand him tools without him asking, as if they already knew what he needed. They laughed quietly when a piece slipped from his fingers, and he found himself laughing with them. At one point, Neera pointed at the greasy streak on his cheek. Mark of battle, she said with mock seriousness. Leora smiled. Victorious mechanic. By the time they finished for the night, Liam had fixed 2 more connections in the ship's core. It was slow progress, but steady. He stepped outside to pack his tools, expecting the twins to follow, but Leora stayed behind for a moment. When she came out, she stood beside him, looking at the hills. This place, quiet, she said. We do not have quiet like this. Liam glanced at her. You don't like it? She hesitated. I do, but quiet can be lonely. Something in her tone made him think she wasn't talking just about the hills. He wanted to ask more, but Neera appeared then, carrying the silver case, and the moment passed. On the walk back to his truck, Neera walked ahead, humming a tune she had learned from his music. Leora walked beside him, silent but thoughtful. Liam felt a strange warmth in his chest, something between friendship and something deeper, though he didn't dare name it. When they reached the truck, Neera stopped and turned to him. Tomorrow. Finish? She asked hopefully. He gave a small smile. Maybe. We're close. Both their eyes brightened at that, and they exchanged a quick glance that seemed to hold some unspoken meaning. Liam didn't know what they were thinking, but he could feel that whatever it was, it mattered to them. That night, as he drove home, he kept thinking about the way they had looked at him, like they saw more than just a mechanic from a small town, like they saw someone who could change the course of their journey. And somewhere deep down, he wondered if they had already begun to change his. The fifth night felt different from the start. The air was warmer, the wind still. The moon hung low, casting a silver glow over the hills. Liam arrived with his toolbox, but this time there was a quiet excitement in his chest. They were close to finishing. He could feel it. When he stepped into the clearing, the twins were already outside, waiting for him. Leora stood with her hands folded in front of her, calm as always, but Nira's eyes were brighter than usual, her steps light, as if she could barely hold still. "You came," Nira said, almost bouncing on her heels. Liam smiled. "Of course, I came. Let's finish this." Inside the ship, the core chamber glowed faintly, the repairs from the previous nights holding strong. Only one major connection remained, a section where several of the crystal strands had been snapped. Liam had saved this part for last, knowing it would be the most delicate. Leora handed him a thin plate of silver metal while Nira held the light steady. Liam crouched down, carefully positioning the plate to bridge the broken strands. His hands moved slowly, every movement precise. One wrong touch could undo all their work. For a while, the only sounds were the hum of the ship and the faint clink of Liam's tools. The twins stayed close, watching his every move. Occasionally, Nira would lean in to pass him another piece, or Leora would adjust the plate so it fit perfectly. Finally, Liam tightened the last connection. The broken strands glowed, their light growing stronger until it matched the rest of the core. Then, with a low, steady hum, the entire chamber lit up. He stepped back, wiping his hands on his jeans. "That's it," he said softly. "She's fixed." The twins exchanged a quick look, and then Nira let out a laugh, bright, relieved, almost musical. She turned to her sister and spoke quickly in their language, words flowing like water. Leora smiled, her calm expression breaking into something warmer. Without warning, the ship seemed to come alive. Lights along the walls brightened. Soft pulses of energy traveled through the floor, and the floating shapes above the control console began to move faster. A gentle vibration filled the air like the steady heartbeat of a living creature. "It works," Leora said simply. But the relief in her voice was clear. Liam allowed himself a small smile. "You'll be able to leave now." The words hung in the air for a moment. Nira's smile faded just slightly. She glanced at Leora, who gave the faintest nod before speaking. "Yes," Leora said slowly. "We can leave. But—" She hesitated, as if searching for the right words. Nira took a step forward, her glowing eyes fixed on Liam. "Come with us," she said. Liam blinked. "What?" Nira's voice was softer now, but her tone was certain. "You helped us, saved us. We want you to come." Leora added, "We travel far, see many places. You could see them too." Liam's mind went blank. The offer was so sudden, so impossible, that he wasn't sure he had heard them right. "You're asking me to leave Earth?" Nira nodded. "Yes, leave. Come to Stars." He took a slow breath, trying to steady the rush of thoughts in his head. Leave Earth? He'd never even left his small town for more than a few days. His whole life, his shop, his friends, the familiar hills, was here. And yet, part of him felt a pull he couldn't deny. He looked at them, standing there in the glow of the ship's lights. Leora, calm and steady, her gaze warm but patient. Nira, bright-eyed and restless, her smile carrying both hope and challenge. "Why me?" he asked quietly. Leora tilted her head slightly. Because you are different. You see, without fear, Naira added, and you fix more than machines. He swallowed, unsure how to answer. Outside the ship, the world was silent, as if waiting for him to speak. Leora stepped closer. We can go now. Tonight. Once we leave, we cannot return. Her words were gentle, but they carried a weight that settled deep in his chest. If he said yes, there would be no turning back. If he said no, he would never know what lay beyond the stars. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The hum of the ship filled the silence, steady and sure. Finally, Liam looked around the inside of the ship one last time. Every wire, every plate, every repair he had made was now a part of it. He had given it life again, and now it was offering him a new life in return. But the decision wasn't simple. In his mind, he saw the familiar image of his workshop, the dusty tools, the smell of oil. He thought of the early mornings in the town, the quiet nights when the only sound was the wind in the trees. And then he saw the endless stars above, waiting for him just beyond reach. Nira stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Please, stay with us, or come with us. But not goodbye. The words struck something inside him. He realized they weren't just offering him an adventure, they were asking him to be part of something bigger, something they didn't want to face alone. He looked from Nira to Leora, then back to the glowing core of the ship. The choice pressed down on him, heavy and thrilling all at once. He started to speak, then stopped, unable to find the words. The twins didn't push him. They simply stood there, waiting, their eyes on him, as the hum of the ship seemed to grow softer, like it too was listening for his answer. The silence in the ship's core room stretched longer than Liam expected. The twins waited patiently, their glowing eyes soft with hope and understanding. Liam's heart beat fast as he struggled to decide what to do. Outside, the night wind whispered through the grass, carrying the quiet sounds of the hills. The stars shone brightly, as if encouraging him to look up and imagine what was beyond. But inside, Liam's mind was full of memories. His small town, the workshop where he had spent so many years, the simple life he knew so well. He thought about the twins, Leora, calm and wise, and Nira, full of life and laughter. They had come to him in a moment of need, trusting him with their broken ship and their futures. They had shared stories, music, and tea beneath the stars, and now they wanted him to join them on a journey into the unknown. Liam closed his eyes for a moment. He imagined leaving everything behind: his family, his friends, the green hills and dusty roads. The fear was real, but so was a strange excitement, a pull toward something new and impossible. When he opened his eyes, he saw Naira step forward. "You do not need to say now," she said gently. "We wait." Leora nodded in agreement. "The stars will wait for you, if you choose." Liam felt a deep warmth at their patience. They were not forcing him. They were offering a choice, one that would change his life forever. He took a deep breath and spoke softly. "I want to come. I want to see the stars." Nira's face lit up with a smile so bright it seemed to fill the room. Leora's eyes shone warmly, and she reached out to place a hand on Liam's shoulder. "Then we begin," Leora said. The twins moved quickly, activating the ship's controls. The core's light pulsed faster, and the hum grew louder, vibrating through the floor beneath their feet. Liam watched in awe as the walls shimmered and colors danced along the surfaces like waves. The hatch slid shut behind them with a soft hiss, and the ship began to lift gently from the ground. The grass below blurred as the ship rose higher, and Soon, the hills were a dark outline beneath a sea of twinkling lights. Liam stood beside the twins, his heart pounding with every second. The stars, once distant points in the sky, now seemed closer, almost within reach. As the ship moved faster, streaks of light stretched around them, and Liam felt a strange weightlessness. The feeling was both thrilling and a little scary. He looked at Leora and Nera, who smiled back with steady calm, as if they had done this many times before. For the first time, Liam understood what it meant to leave home, not as a goodbye, but as a new beginning. Hours passed as the ship sped through space, moving past stars, planets, and glowing clouds of dust. Liam watched through the transparent ceiling, marveling at the beauty and vastness of the universe. He thought about the life he had left behind, but felt no regret. With the twins beside him, he was ready to face whatever came next. After a while, Nera leaned toward him. "Thank you," she said simply. Liam smiled. "No. Thank you for trusting me." Leora nodded. "Together, we travel. Together, we find home." And in that moment, Liam knew that no matter where the stars took them, he would never be alone. The ship moved onward, carrying them into the endless night, a new family bound by trust, hope, and the promise of the unknown.